Hello and welcome to Caffeine Entertainment. I'm Mental Lion R, and this is episode number 5 of Backlogs and Replays. And as always, I'm here with my good buddy Finn 1010. How you doing, Finn?
I'm doing okay. I was pretty sick for the last few days, and if my voice is a bit crackly and it gives out a few times, I apologize. Not sure exactly what I got. Could be the COVID. Who knows anymore, right? But who cares as well? I was just sick. And
now that you said that, this is demonetized. You shouldn't have said the C word. We're not monetized anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We could talk about whatever we want. Monetization be damned. But yeah, that sucks. But I'm glad you're feeling a little better now. Anyway, it definitely. I think you sound better than usual. So, keep that little bit of crackly gruffness there. Oh, jeez. Oh, stop. Anyway, well, we might have to edit that out. So, this week we are talking about Life is Strange. How strange was life for you before you got sick?
So, I want you to go first this week because, you know what, like, I've always been more the indie guy. I think that one of the things I wanted to tackle with this whole backlogs or replays or retro gaming or whatever we want to call it, or cheapskate gaming, whatever we want to call it,
budget,
is what would Mike think of a few smaller titles, like, so lay it on me.
That's why you're pushing so hard for this one.
Yeah, so lay it on me. What did you think of it?
So, full disclosure, I only played the first episode because I thought I had the game. It looked like I had the game, but I got to the end of episode 1, and it told me I had to buy the other episodes. And this was already, because I was away last weekend, of course, so I finished episode 1 on Sunday, sitting in the hotel room, chilling in the evening before bed, and yeah, I found out that I didn't have the other episodes. And at that point, I thought, geez, I got to drive home on Monday, so I won't be playing tomorrow. And I mean, it's going to sound like a cheapskate, but the other 4 episodes were like $23. And I'm like, I know. And they weren't on sale. And I don't like paying regular price for something like that. So I even went and I looked quickly on like gg.deals and CD keys and all that. And the best I could find was like $26, but that included Life is Strange 2. So I debated that and then just realized the reality is I wouldn't have probably played it again before we were doing this recording. So, with having to drive home all day Monday, I knew I would be in no mood to play Monday. Then Tuesday I had the day off, but I had a lot of crap to do and I was just busy all day long and I knew that was going to happen. So I didn't end up buying it.
You forgot to mention that the dog ate your homework too, Mike.
Yes. Well, I had to go pick up my dog. Actually, my dog had laryngitis. It was pretty funny. She was staying at a kennel for the weekend, and she's pretty hyper, being a Samoyed, or Samoyed, I guess, as most people would call them. But she barks a lot when she's playing and having too much fun. And I guess she barked herself to a point where I thought they had her debarked because she could hardly bark when we picked her up. It was kind of funny. And she's just now starting to get her voice back. So
you should check out. I was just trying to check out, but because I already own it, I guess I can't see the price. But there is I know you're not a PlayStation guy generally, but there is a summer sale on PlayStation as well. I often see that Life is Strange goes on sale. You might want to check out there as well. Maybe it's on
sale. I can take a look. I know there's one on Xbox too, but a big sale. And I mean, I just went through the Steam sale, spent too much money on that one and stuff. And then of course Prime Day, had to spend money on Prime Day, get those Fire Sticks so that we could test that. Yeah. You never tested yours. I did. But
that wasn't a subject of this show, Mike. Let's just remember that.
Was that for GMX or was that? I thought we were talking about that for this one, but I guess not. Okay. No. All right. Well, I tested it anyway, so I'll be ready for the next show. Anyhow, yeah. So Life is Strange, all that. It was not what I expected it to be. To be perfectly honest, I really didn't think it would be up my alley at all. I was playing it, and my daughter came and she sat on the couch with her Nintendo Switch, and I was playing on my Steam Deck, and she's like, "What are you playing?" And I'm like, "Oh, this, it's called Life is Strange." And she's like, "Oh, what's it about?" And I said, "Oh, actually, it's kind of cool. You might like it." And you're this character. And then once I found out you can rewind time and stuff like that, and kind of live different segments of it to get a better outcome, it definitely became way more interesting than I thought it would. And I did start to enjoy the game. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit disappointed when I found out I didn't have any more episodes to play. So it's likely that I probably will go and pick it up when it's on sale, or if I, like you say, maybe it's on sale cheap enough that I'd be enticed to buy it. But it feels like with its age, I don't want to spend more than about $8. And
that's probably not
under 10 would be okay.
That's not unfair. And I guess in keeping with the theme of the show as well, it really is for games that we already own for the most part. So like a miscalculation on our part. And I won't disagree with you, actually, that even when I was looking at it like myself before, I was a bit confused. Do I own this or I don't own it? Because it is in episodes. I
didn't know that.
It turned out that I do own it. But I liked it a lot, actually. And I'm, unlike you, I'm most of the way through the game. I'm probably... I don't know how long each episode is. This episode, I'm on episode 3 right now. It feels like it's been longer than the other episodes. I keep on waiting for it to end because I'm like, this seems like
it's too long.
Well, it feels like I've just been doing it longer than I was doing episode 2. I did episode 2 in one sitting, basically, and then episode 3, I'm like, it's been like, I don't know, a few hours, a good few hours anyway. Now, I am more of I think like you as well, I can be a bit of a completionist, and I think this is a game that doesn't necessarily reward you that much for being a completionist and checking every nook and cranny. Because while I like the game a lot, I felt like the pacing was sometimes a bit off, like it was a bit too slow. Which took me out of it a couple of times. But no, it's a good game. I like the artwork style of it. I like the theme of it. It's chill, and there's good acting in it. Pretty much, it's actually surprisingly good.
The voice acting was decent. Yeah,
surprisingly good acting for an older game. Like usually the newer games are great, but the older games can sometimes be a bit less great, I guess. And the other thing that surprised me a little bit as well, and maybe you'll see this as you go a bit further into it as well. I can't remember what was in episode 1 versus episode 2. But it's kind of a more of a mature story than I thought as well. I thought it was like a kid's thing, kind of, but they get into kind of some heavier topics as well.
They do.
I like that about it. It felt a bit like you're watching
even episode 1.
Right.
It got deeper than I thought it would, to be honest. The whole thing with the stepdad and all that junk, and I was like, maybe I should have done something different. But it's dude's a bit creepy. Don't know how it evolves from there, but
well, I won't give you any spoilers. But other than to say like that, like I'm one of the reasons, if I was you in your boat or in your shoes, I'd probably pick up the other episode. It's kind of one of these things where I want to know what's going to happen, I just felt that there was the only complaint I had, and I think you haven't gotten to the junkyard. I think that was episode 2, I think.
Yeah, I know junkyards and what I've played.
There's a few segments where it's like, you have to find 3 items or 4 items and find items. And like those ones are a bit like, okay, this just feels like filler. I have to just wander around and looking for stuff, and I'm not really moving the story forward. Again, not a great spoiler. You have to find some beer bottles in the junkyard, and it's like, okay, I'm walking around the junkyard over and over again. Oh, here, where's one bottle? And I have to find 5 of them, and it's a bit like, if it was grating me a bit, I was like, this is not telling me any more about the story. You just want to have the bottles and just move forward. But besides that, great game. Would definitely recommend it, even at $23. But in fairness, I probably paid I think I downloaded I was just looking through my own library there, and I think I started off. Actually, I know I started off with The Walking Dead. episodic kind of choose your own adventure type games from Telltale.
Right. Okay.
And then I moved on to the Wolf Among Us, which I really like those games. And I've never spent more than like $10, I would say, in any of them. I think that's probably about the price I'm comfortable paying for these type of games. But I've enjoyed it. It's not too long as well. As I say, I got through an entire episode in one sitting. It's like maybe 2 or 3 hours, depending on how much you want to wander around. So would recommend it.
Yeah, and like I say, I was enjoying it. You mentioned the art style. I thought the art style was good. The voice acting was good. I like most of the gameplay mechanics. I found some parts of it maybe a little bit finicky, but like I'm thinking in particular the one part where you're at the storm and at the lighthouse, and there's stuff breaking off the lighthouse and junk, and I found I had to rewind that quite a few times to find just the right spot to stand. And I thought that was a little bit maybe annoying, but maybe that's a strong word, but I just thought, oh, that's kind of finicky, more or less. But
Yeah.
generally speaking, it worked fairly well and wasn't tedious feeling. Now,
Yeah.
maybe if I'd played the junkyard part, I might find it a little bit more like that. But a lot of it I thought was pretty cool, and I like the idea that you can go back and change your mind about how you dealt with a situation too. You can rewind that little bit. I thought that was kind of fun. I did that more than once.
Yeah.
Like if I pissed somebody off, that maybe that was not the right thing to do, and then I'd switch it up. But it was pretty good, I thought, in general. And if I find it for cheap enough sometime down the road, maybe I'd pick it up.
And as I say, I think that was one of your reasons I was interested in you trying it out, because I know you're into like time travel type things and or time manipulation. Let's put it like that. And it goes back to something we said about some of the bigger titles. Like this is a little bit different than what you would see in a AAA title typically. Now you may see one or two of them doing this, but it's less usual. And I think for something like this to become a fundamental part of the gameplay mechanics is something that I see happen a lot more in indie games than in AAA titles, and that's one of the reasons I like it. It throws you. It's like one of the reasons like you like watching European movies. I might have said before, because you don't know what to expect. Right? They don't follow the same formula. So indie games don't necessarily follow the same formula as the big budget titles. So I like that about them.
Yeah. Yeah, no, fair enough. And you'll often find indie games, they're not afraid to take risks.
Yeah, exactly.
And come up with new concepts and everything. And yeah, it's cool. Have you ever played a game from the 360 era called Time Shift?
I have not.
Okay. It's pretty interesting. I can't remember if you can reverse time, but you can use your ability to slow down time and stuff like that to get through different aspects of the game. It's one that I've been meaning to go back and replay. Maybe it's something we can do for the show if you've got it. It doesn't sound like you probably will, but I think it's pretty cheap and definitely fits the concept of budget gaming, that's for sure. Which is, kind of the direction this show is kind of taken anyway. But
the one game it reminded me of a little bit, not in the execution of it or the type of game it is, but do you remember Prince of Persia: Sands of Time?
Yes, and I've never played it. I don't think I own it, but I know there was wasn't there a remake of that or something recently that people were all hyped on for a while?
I'm not sure, but you obviously Prince of Persia, like the old classic game, but this is one where it was a bit like, I don't know what type of game, maybe like Tomb Raider, where you're jumping across multiple platforms and you're like bump 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 like a platformer, but you had a certain amount of rewind allowed as well. So if you missed a platform, you could rewind it a little bit, but you only had a certain amount, so you could do that once or twice. But it was, and as well, it became sometimes where you'd have to do it. You'd have to jump in, almost get killed, rewind it so you could be in the right spot or something, But it reminded me of that a little bit. It was the only other game where I thought, oh yeah, I know that a game has done this type of thing before, where you And it reminded me of the bit where you're talking about when you're going near the lighthouse and the tree falls down. And actually, maybe I did a little bit differently than you, but you can actually, you don't have to find the right spot so the tree doesn't have to hit you. You can actually, when you reverse.
This was later on. The tree I didn't have a problem with.
Okay.
It was when the chunks fell off the lighthouse. And there was pieces of concrete and crap falling down. Like the tree, there was a tree that fell originally, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that you could walk past if you went quicker.
Okay.
And it would fall behind you. And then there was a spot where maybe there was another tree that fell, but there was also stuff falling off. Like 2 chunks would fall down. And you kind of had to miss one and then miss the other one.
I guess
at least from where I was, that's what I had to do.
What I was going to say anyway was, and it becomes important later in the game as well, is that when you rewind things, it doesn't affect you. It affects everything else, not you. So, like, if, for example, if you walk into a spot where the rock is going to hit you, the rock can hit you, you can rewind the time and you'll still be there and you can just keep walking forward, right? So
I've noticed that too.
But anyway, but it sounds like we both liked it. I'm going to finish it up. I think I've got it's 5 episodes, so I've got 2 left. So I'll finish it up.
Cool. You know what I'd do if I could rewind time? I'd remind people to like, comment, and subscribe if you were listening to this video at this point. Really appreciate it. We're up to almost 50 subscribers on YouTube, and we just got into the double digits and then some on Rumble. So, yeah, like and follow, subscribe.
Tearing it up.
Appreciate that. That's what I'd do if I could rewind time. Anyway, I definitely agree. If someone's got it sitting in their backlog, it's a cool little game. Give it a try. Definitely. So for this week, I can't remember what we were going to play. If I could rewind time, I'd remember that, and then I could say what we were going to play.
I was looking back in my backlog, and I found a title that you and I have both discussed before, much derided at the time.
I remember now.
The Order 1886.
We did decide on that one, didn't we? Yes.
Yeah, so we're going to check that out. I think, again, much derided. I think history may be a bit kinder to it than the reviews were at the time, but let's give it a spin and figure it out.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. It's a bit of a cheat for me because I have played it, and so I've already got some thoughts on it, but I'll keep those to myself. I'm looking forward to see what you think, and I'm looking forward to going back into it again. For sure. It'll be a good time, and like you say, it was not well received. The critics didn't like it. I think it was like a 60-something Metascore, and not typically a game that I would buy, but it was so cheap at the time. Definitely fits that budget again. So
that's a good thing about games sucking at launch, is that you can often get them, like, even, and I missed it at the time, even Cyberpunk, like, that was on sale at some ridiculous prices within a couple of weeks, and I chose not to pick it up like an idiot. But it'll be there again, I'm sure. But
eventually,
that's the good thing. I think I bought the Order for like $5 or something stupid.
Yeah, very much like what I did. From the sounds of it, it was definitely cheap. So there's a lot of games out these days that you can have for very little amounts of money that are all great games. So that's definitely something we shall explore as we go forward. Any other thoughts before we wrap this one up? This is a new record. I think we're under 20 minutes. So short and sweet, and we'll get on to the next game.
All right, let's take it. Sounds good.
Do you want to let people know how they can reach you?
Not particularly, but I will anyway. So Fin1010 without the 1 on both Xbox and PlayStation, and obviously with the 1 on X.
Right on. And I am at Mental9R on X. I am Mental9R on PlayStation, Xbox, Steam, and just about everywhere else except YouTube and Rumble, where we are at Caffeine Entertainment. Although you can't at Caffeine Entertainment on Rumble. There, just search for us. You'll find us. If you prefer green buttons over red. And other than that, don't forget, it's time to wake up and play some games.